Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Jesse Jackson III. I am the president and founder of Jesse Jackson III Leadership Institute, which has been developed for current and aspiring superintendents and ed leaders, and the co-founder of the Best Man Company, LLC, which specializes in removing barriers for the at-risk student. I am often asked, how should a school or school district go about choosing vendors or consultants that they work with? I have been in the business, in the education business since 1996 was my first professional job, right out of college. Well, probably there's a little stagger. Got a chance to work in the corporate world, was getting trained for management. I didn't feel it. I knew it wasn't there, so I went and just did what I was supposed to do, which I knew, which was education. And so since 1996, I've been around it. I've been around all levels of K-12 to community college, junior college, and university. I've been around the business my entire adult life. Literally, I think I started at 24. I'm 48, right? So I know the game. I know the business. It hasn't been wasted time. It has been great experiences coming out of that. One thing that I would always advise, so I think it's really time with so much need in our business, as one of the senior, young guys, but a senior seasoned education consultant. And remember what consulting is everybody thinks they can do it. There's a difference between a speaker and a consultant, okay? And there's a lot of people that like speaking. The consultant part, they do not like, okay? Me, I can do both. I don't really like speaking. I'm a trainer. Content is my life. I'm a teacher, and I'm about teaching and learning. That's my thing. Not speaker, not 30-minute here, 40-minute here. It's kind of not, I can do it. I have learned over the course of my life, that's just not where you get the most from me. So a consultant is somebody who provides expert opinions, analysis, give you their recommendations to the organization or to an individual in a leadership capacity based on their expertise. Well, our expertise is in leadership because I have stood next to, and I have no idea how it happened, but I always seem to be in a relationship, good dynamic with the person in charge. I don't know how it always worked out that way, but it always has. I mean, in the jobs I had, I was always had a good rapport with my boss, most of them, and just seemed like they leaned on me, even as a rookie. It's always been that way in my life, and I've learned so much, the good and bad, from my bosses in my career. How do you choose a consultant? I mean, they have to have expertise in the area in which you're trying to get things out of. After 24 years of professional work experience in professional work environments, I have seen many of the barriers in the workplace. And so you're talking about workplace culture. You're talking about behavior issues. You're talking about the issue of race, what it can do to an organization, particularly a school. You're talking about what traumas impact on an organization, right? Me coming from a trauma zone in Detroit, coming from that, going to a trauma zone school in Detroit, where I'm from, living in a trauma zone, understanding that impact, what I've seen, but also being a person who's worked with kids in the trauma zone. All of the schools I worked at was trauma zone. I mean, I even had the trauma zone populations when I worked in the university, right? That first year kid that needs basically grade 13, trauma, educational failure, a lot of things in there. So it's what I've always done. It's my entire career. So when it comes to when you are picking a consultant and you are trying to get somebody to help you with your organization's issues, you got to have somebody that is in tune with what's going on. I can remember, this is a consultant story that happened in a state, I remain nameless. So one thing for all of you people that are aiming to get in the consultant business, one thing you'll never get from me, I don't name drop. I don't call clients names. I don't tell you who I'm working with. It's not going to happen. That's called a name dropper. Let me tell you, please rest assured, my client list is very deep and thorough. Okay. And that's just the way it is. And that's something you need to practice not doing, because a lot of times, when you're involved with a client and developing them and developing their organization, particularly through some rough patches, it should never be a case where you're sharing what you're doing in another district, in another place. People that do that, that's always a red flag to me. And see, think about this. If you did something dynamic in Detroit, Philadelphia, or Little Rock, Arkansas, or Dallas, Texas, that does not automatically transfer to Los Angeles, California, to Douglas, Arizona. It doesn't transfer to the Bronx, New York. All right? It doesn't transfer. That's what you have to understand. I was the first person that came out years ago. It's 2010 National Charter One Conference. And I was the first one that came out and said, best practices don't travel. Best practices don't travel because best practices are based on best people. That team, everybody that's had this miraculous turnarounds, that unit turned it around, that unit. And if you take that unit out of there, or you don't have that unit when it's time to execute that best practice, you will find that you'll start saying, well, something's wrong with the research. It ain't nothing wrong with the research. It's a part that was missing. Practices is based on people. So that's why I always start with the people first. We put our energy, and I'm talking about decades, into practices, and you should, but it can't be your start point. That's why we change models so much. That's why we change consultants and training programs every 1 to 2 years, because the people is the first stop every time. If you're trying to fix a culture, you're having a problem with behavior, you're having a problem with fighting, you're having race issues that you've never been able to solve in your school district's history, starts with people. And that's what the consultant represents to you. In a consulting relationship, if you're trying to do a 1 year, this isn't a search for a superintendent where that search firm, a really good search firm that helps you pick a superintendent, should stay involved with the development of the superintendent in your organization. There is no consulting process that is one and done. That's a flawed, poor mentality, cheap mentality, thinking that that's how things are done. It's not. When you are dealing with issue of race, you don't have no one race training and say, oh, we check that box. That's not consulting. That's box checking. And it doesn't work. And this has been going on in our business for a long time. Understand, any process you start demands and requires 2 to 3 year commitment. And if you do not, you're just wasting your money. Call somebody else that you can do that, kind of soak it in there and be like, we did something, because it doesn't work. I remember a dear friend of mine, he's a superintendent now. He was principal of the year of his state. He's a dear friend of mine. And like I said, as he went to the superintendent level, our relationship had to change because he had to adjust to the community in which he was serving. Which is definitely okay. It was not the work that we did when me and him were together and he became principal of the year and turned the F into a A, right? And I understand that, but that's consulting. See, consulting is about the relationship and the relationship of value. Anybody you have a relationship with in business should always produce for you. You shouldn't just have relationships with your friends and you don't get production. So it's kind of one of those things. What he said in his when he got his award, and principals got to ask him questions. One of the things that he said, and I remember the day he brought me, finally, got it. We were able to get it done. And it was like 2016, 2017. When he first introduced me to his district, right? The first thing he said in the intro, now he didn't tell me this. Okay. He did not tell me this. When he introduced me, he said, Dr. Jackson has given us a 3-year commitment. What? What? That was news to me. Whoa, I didn't know. People looked at my face and like, oh, okay, yeah. But that's what he believed in. And he told me that on the phone when he said, I need you to come out here as much as you can, every month if you can. I need you to be a part of our faculty and our culture. And I'll never forget that. And he was the principal of the year. He knew what worked. And then when he took his acceptance speech, he said, that is the process. It's that committed part of the process. He said, you call people like Dr. Jackson and you listen to them, right? This is somebody that's successful. And he said, you call people like Dr. Jackson, he's a specialist, and you listen to them. And other superintendents that were at that conference when he gave that talk, still to this day, reference what he said. And that was almost went to about 6 years ago. It's a really serious thing. That is the process of how you become successful. The last thing that I believe, or two things that I think would be very beneficial and help us. One, when it comes to how do you identify value when you are working with a consultant? Value, meaning how is this person valuable to you? How do you know? How are they worth the money? Now, this is always the law of cost in consulting. The law of cost is what result am I going to get out of this investment? There are programs, folks, a lot of us understand, a lot of our program has been broken for years. For years. Before you called Dr. Jackson, your program has been broken for years. And now you have some help in here. It's a process to get this thing right and moved. But once again, people who don't comprehend process, they're under the impression, they're studying the numbers. They have a covetousness in their heart. They just have poison in their heart, economics. Anybody that's in business know, listen, I spend money to make money. Okay, so if I'm working with somebody, I want to spend money that creates value, right? So the thing that I want to end with that'll always help us is, what should you be looking for? There's different consultants. You got math consultant, English consultant, reading consultants, right? You have culture consultants, right? You have leadership consultants. And I like to always lay out things that I know you need to be looking at. We call it the measurables. Somebody, dear friend of mine, who's been with me a decade, her organization, her soup asked, why do y'all keep working with Dr. Jackson? And she said, he provides intangibles. And we were able to put it in writing. She was like, the things that you are providing are not things that we have identified in the business as valuable, even though this is actually what we're trying to get from other programs. That's why we're not getting it, because we have not recognized the intangible values that are brought to an organization. Here are some of them. In a district, improving a superintendent's relationship with their board. Okay, I can't tell you how many relationships we've helped just improve, smooth over, help the board to better understand the soup, help the soup's board just get better in helping and supporting the soup. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. That's work. That's work. That's a special skill. That's not a box checker. That's not these little standardized theory. They go to these conferences and all it is out there is information. This business is based on people, and knowing how to be a people specialist and solve people problems, improving relationship, We use that buzzword, build relationships with the kids. We don't even know how to build relationships with the adults. You wouldn't even know how to measure and improve relationship between a student and the teacher. I would, because one of them is our suspensions do come down. The dynamic between them and that environment does improve. Our suspension numbers are not lower because we just stopped suspending, but we got horrible kids terrorizing the building. No, they are dynamic. Their rapport improves as the adult improves, gains the understanding of and the matures and how to better respond to certain conducts, understand their own triggers. That's excessive value. And you got to know, and that's what the evaluation is for. You have to know what you're getting. It's a reason why we carry a 90+% ratio over the last 2 years, COVID 2020 to now. We are carrying and all evaluated a 94%. This is what we needed. This was value. That's over 20,000 people on the internet, on online courses, Zoom meetings coming to us, and also once we got back in person. They said, this is what we needed, 94%. Nobody's going to get 100% in training. It was one district we went to. The soup said himself, this is one of the best trainings we've ever had. He said it was easily. He said he's been there 12 years. He said it's easily in the top 3. And you had one person, now once again, you got 370 people said, absolutely, the best, this is what we needed. You get one person out of 370 say, this was not valuable. I did not find it helpful. That's called training. It's called normal. It's one person. Come on. But 94% speaks for itself. Identifying toxic culture, identifying toxic behavior, helping to improve, helping teachers to build their rapport with kids, better understand how to approach kids, how to help staff make it through trauma season in the trauma zone. The trauma zone breaks down into 4 seasons. So the teacher needs to understand their mood, their personality, what's happening, the trauma responses to the children, things they're doing, things they're seeing. It's about understanding. The first thing we always want is an understanding. Once you get an understanding, your approaches improve. They can. And the thing that's so important in our business is approach. Approach before you practice. The approach. What direction are you taking to this problem? That's how we always want to start. That's why we get the results, because you can you can be dead right, approach it wrong, get a horrible result. And folks, that's what's happening. And that could be tweaked. Providing better approaches for dealing with our parents, dealing with tough issues of race. I was so proud that 12,000 people during COVID came to our Race Institute and said this was the best training. They didn't say it was good. They said this is the best training they heard on race, because it was one that knew how to approach the matter at work. Now that's in writing. And that right there, they can never, that's when everybody else's is creating these conflict environments that's not producing. People saying, nah, what he's saying, that makes sense. Finally, something on race that makes sense. Something that don't divide the room as soon as you open your mouth. No, it's a way to do things, folks. And that's what consulting's about. Expertise, advice, right? So how do I know I've done it wrong? I would say if I've been in since 2007 and a professional for 15 years, like over this last 5 years, I've been at the top of my game. Like during COVID, I was at an elite level. State departments sought me out, right? And at the COVID, nobody knew. So they're waiting on somebody else who don't know to tell them what to do, right? I took the lead. I said, here's what we're doing, right? I'm sitting in the meetings with the person you waiting to have a Zoom call. Nah, this is what it is. See, people look for leadership. This is why our business went up during COVID, when they needed people they could trust, when they needed people that wouldn't let them down. They called the doc. When they needed people that would be authentic with them, they called the doc. So that's what I'm saying. That I'm very proud of. how to improve team cohesion, how to improve a leadership team. A lot of districts struggle because there is no continuity in the leadership team. And the truth is, many districts and schools, they don't have leaders, they have managers. They have managers. They don't have leaders. A leader is a person we follow. A lot of these districts are in schools and districts are run by managers. Managers is not a leader. A manager is trying to just do what they told. A leader is a person we want to follow. A lot of times you have to make people aware that positions do not make you a leader. Folks, that's the real deal. So what does that require? Training. What does that require? An attitude to want to be trained. And so the thing is, you'll see sometimes you will have people that have been in these positions for so many years, basically hiding, stealing money, not in that term, but they're stealing money because they're in a position and giving no result. And that's the problem. And so when a Jackson comes around, you have the nerves that get tapped because Jackson's MO, Jackson's brand is truth, but it's not my truth or theory truth. And it's not put the truth out here to embarrass somebody or hurt a feeling. In life and in business, you have to learn to level with yourself. If you ever heard anybody say something wayward about me, it was something about themselves that I showed them that they were not ready to deal with. Doc Jack's been around a long time. I have no known enemies. I'm one of the most loved men in this business in the world. Well received. Every day, you touch hearts, you touch souls, you open minds. And that's what I've made my entire career on. It's not hurting people's feelings. It's not embarrassing someone. It is not causing dissension in the ranks. The thing is, sometimes we have to deal with the conflict that is already in the organization. And the reason you called me is because you knew I could handle it. Now, if you let the process play out, you're going to get somewhere that you never got. You're going to get an organization that gets over the hump and turns into a no organization. A lot of people have wasted a lot of energy in the theory of transformation. You're just giving yourself a mental lollipop. It's toxic down to the bus staff. No trust. We treat each other crappy. They don't trust management. You treat the workers bad. You're just lying to yourself. And Dr. Jackson obviously is an easy person to be like, Jackson, we're going in a different direction. Those, the famous words of a failed school leader, we're going in a different direction. When you talk consulting, you talk the consultant business, I'm asking all of us to thoroughly evaluate how we seek guidance, right? I've been around a long time and I've been able to publish many pieces of work. You don't have as many books as I do, bestsellers. About behavior, leadership, at-risk students, workplace management, trauma, team and communication and relationships. Central office. I put the manual to walk us through COVID. COVID's not done. I said it early. I said 5 years. Stay with this, right? This is what I've made my life on. I document what I see. I document my experiences. I've had a wonderful opportunity to serve over 1,600 institutions personally. I've physically been moving around. I've physically done a lot in my career, over 600,000 people in education that I've seen in person. I've been very busy. I've had an awesome career and I'm at the top of my game right now. And the reason, and I mean that pure in humility, is because right now I'm at the top of my game, which means I could be a better service to the people. This 1,000% for me is about the people. I talked to a dear friend of mine who's been with me 8 years today, and somebody was, got upset with me because we didn't return their call or my person was like, he's not available and he's kind of schedule's full, so they got sour with me. So of course, when they get sour with me, it's venom. That, listen, I know everybody that's somebody in this business. I know everybody that's somebody. I know your boss's boss. I know everybody that's somebody. Please believe it. So somebody is putting not happy with me, and so they're putting bad energy on my name. And they're like, well, but I noticed this is the person that wanted me to come help them. Okay. And they didn't. I don't know why she said the schedule, whatever the person asked for, just doesn't work. But the thing that was said was something about cost. Now it's pennies on the dollar, right? Like talking about cost. And I asked my friend, she's been with me 8 years. Our initial conversation, she'll tell you, she laughed about it. I let her tell her own story. She'll laugh about it. Our first conversation when she called me on the phone, I was on the road going to my next school. Her opening statement, hey, Dr. Jackson, we've seen some of your videos and emails, but I don't, how much you gonna charge me? Because, you guys. And I said, hold on, did you call me because you need my help? She said, I need your help. I said, money ain't gonna stop that. That's business. Business always get worked out. We've been together ever since. Ain't never had no crossword about no money now. People. So if you find yourself somewhere out here having a money debate in your head, it's the internal poverty within you that is the problem. If you are a person in management or leadership and you're a steward over these funds are to prosper the company. They are to move the organization forward. And that is a sacred job. And it is where you have to really be in touch with yourself and what's best for the organization. You use money as a seed or investment that pushes that company forward. That is not something where you're in your head letting the spirit of cheap or of covetousness or economic poison come over you. The things I have seen, right? I can tell you the business got, I'm from Detroit and a lot of the business was so poisoned, where I come from, you had people that was so covetous of the money. Now, these are title funds. I mean, these title funds, right? And you had so covetous of the money that's going out. You had, and not that they can't do it, but you had anybody, like parents, being like, what? That's how much we spend in paying it? Oh, I'm about to get into that. And so now, that's your mentality. The nickel, dime, penny hustle. Not, hey, remember the rule. You get what you pay for. And I like to always say, if you have an illegal matter and somebody's trying to take your kid from you or put legal issues on them, are you talking about you can't afford a lawyer? Or do you want the best lawyer who's going to look you in the face and say, I'll take care of this, don't worry about it? Or the lawyer that says, well, I don't know, I don't know. I'm hoping. When you talk to Dr. Jackson, I can tell you what I'm doing for you. I'm gonna come through. I love the ratio that we've been able to bring to this business, helping organizations to achieve their goals, helping superintendents to achieve their goals, helping principals to achieve their goals, helping teachers to be better people and better instructors in that classroom, helping students to overcome their trauma and focus on their future, giving parents better guidance and understanding on what they need to do for their future. This is something that I pride myself on, being one of those people that's a change agent. And when I get involved, it's love, it's respect, and you get 100% from me. It's a commitment both ways. And I value those relationships. It's beyond business. It's personal because you're going to get my best. And that's what our ed consulting program has always been about. And though the schedule will always be full and I always have a list of people we're trying to work in, when I know that it's a good relationship and I know that there's a need for what I have there and there's respect for me and my time and what I bring to the table, I always will ask my person, get this person in. That's how I feel about you. So that's what you're going to get from me. That's what consulting is about to me. All consultants is just getting in the business, no matter what age you are. I hope you learned something from this. And I want you to be very much more diligent and disciplined about running your consulting business. There's a lot of phenomenal consultants out there, some of the best in the world, and you call them, they're going to help you in critical areas. They're going to help you with better instruction. They're going to help you with school safety. They're going to help you with administration services. Some are going to help you with leadership. They're some of the best out there. Make sure when you get these folks, respect them, take care of them. When you're a consultant and you get somebody's business, take care of the customer, take care of the client. These people rely on us. We are compensated well in most situations. And the thing is, when they call us for something, they need it. So let's be what we say we are. Let's over deliver on services, not under deliver. And that's what I'm demanding from the consulting community moving forward. I'm Dr. Jackson. Thank you so much for listening. I really hope you got a lot out of this. I knew that I had to do this, and this is something that we need to improve on. We need to be better at our partnerships with our vendors, and the vendors need to be better at production and providing value. That's just the way business works, and that's why this is so important. I appreciate your time. Thank you for listening, and I'm looking forward to working with you soon. Call me if you need me. I'll see you in class.